Living through a monster like Hurricane Maria, it changes you at the cellular level. When you watch a full-grown tree get ripped violently out of the earth, or see steel shipping containers floating, they drift down the street like plastic toys. You aren't just watching a weather event. You are witnessing raw kinetic warfare. Your instincts tell you the atmosphere is supercharged. To understand how we arrived at this modern era of explosive storms, you must look past the chaos. Look back to the 1970s, when a multi-billion-dollar military-industrial complex and secret projects converged, along with a Cold War missile defense giant, all focused on a single island. Today, we track declassified history and the scientific irony. Technology spending billions to catch up to ancestral science. Master the 49% negative awareness. Face the brutal, unvarnished facts of history. By the late 1960s, the U.S. Navy wanted total control over the island's eastern side. They put together a highly classified initiative, known as Plan Dracula. The objective: absolute expropriation. They planned to seize all remaining civilian land on Cuba, evict every resident, bulldoze the infrastructure, even relocate historical cemeteries. They wanted to turn an inhabited community into a permanent, exclusive live-fire bombing range. The volume of kinetic force on our people. It is preserved in the 1970 congressional record. In 1969 alone, the Navy hit Culebra with 228 days of aerial rocket practice. Military aircraft logged 17,860 target runs on a tiny island populated by families. But the community executed 2% decisive control. Activists and families formed a unified front. They sailed small fishing boats into impact zones between warships and the shoreline. They stood on beaches as human shields. That disciplined resistance broke the military's grip. By December 1975, Public Law 93-166, it forced the Navy to retreat from Culebra. While the Navy fought for the land, the defense grid tried to weaponize the sky. On May 19, 1974, the Senate committee declassified the files of Operation Popeye. The documents proved it. The Air Force flew over 2,600 cloud-seeding sorties. They dropped silver iodide into monsoon clouds to synthesize torrential rain on command. The declassified logs verified success, an 82% success rate. Naturally, they tried to scale that power up. Operating from Roosevelt Roads Naval Station, the government launched Project Stormfront. Military scientists flew heavy aircraft directly into eye walls, dropping massive silver iodide payloads to steer the storms. They wanted to freeze the supercooled water to disrupt the eye wall and steer the storm, but when the data logs were finally audited, the science delivered a massive reality check. The military didn't change the storms. Nature was just doing its own powerful thing. Data proved that intense cyclones naturally undergo concentric eyewall replacement cycles. The storm naturally weakens and expands, then reorganizes into a tighter, more vicious monster. The hurricanes were operating on a scale that human engineering could neither create nor destroy. While these experiments were conducted, the mountains of Puerto Rico housed Arecibo, spanning a massive 1,000 feet. It was the largest radio telescope on Earth. Its architecture was funded by ARPA under Project Defender, a critical Cold War missile defense program. Arecibo was designed as a radar transmitter to study intercontinental ballistic missiles. Because it was a critical national security asset, it required ironclad security. It was guarded by disciplined military veterans, protecting that massive grid day and night. Standing on that dish wasn't just looking at stars. It was standing on the front line. Now look at the 51% positive focus, the absolute genius of our heritage. For a century, the military-industrial complex poured billions into space satellites for global weather prediction. But as ocean temperatures hit record highs, storms now undergo rapid intensification in less than 24 hours. Because these systems transform faster than satellites track them, meteorologists have fundamentally pivoted their tactics. Today, the National Hurricane Center relies on low-altitude, uncrewed aerial systems drones, flown into the spray. They are flown directly into the dangerous, blinding ocean spray, right at the sea-level interface. The ultimate irony: modern science admitted accurately predicting a storm requires measuring microchanges at the surface. How to accurately predict a storm's power? By measuring microchanges at the surface. That is the exact environmental grid. The ancient Taino elders read it with their feet. Our ancestors maintained a flawless database, a living database of nature without satellites. They tracked ground swells and trade winds, reading solar halos refracting through high-altitude ice clouds. They watched mass inland migrations of land crabs and seabirds fleeing for the high peaks of El Yunque. They didn't try to conquer nature with machines. They listened to it and aligned with it. They engineered their resilient bohíos in agriculture. They were the true masters of the environment. The timeline has come full circle. High-tech drones now try to replicate the instinctual awareness of our people. We take our 49% negative awareness, the hard facts of military testing and storms. We lean heavily into our 51% positive focus, the unyielding resilience of our ancestral science, and we execute our 2% decisive control in absolute physical preparation and tactical. Grids can fail, but the roots, discipline, and instincts of Boracon run deeper than any storm. Stay ready, stay disciplined. Move with the mantra.